I believe this is time to ask.
Yes, totally. Thank you very much. You were very short, concise, to the point, and again, filled with amazing insights. And I actually want to start off with, I'll ask the first question, seeing as I'm one of the presenters. Live events, let's talk about this, because there are different types of live events, online events, and I'm wondering whether they're all in the same bucket. So there's obviously the InfoSecs, and there's the RSAs, and there's the trade shows that I think, I don't know, Kobi, do you feel that those are valuable as well, or only the online events that you're organizing? Let's clarify what's working and what we should be ditching here.
From my perspective, there's a clear line between those two, because what we created is our own brand of events. We called it BR Guesty, and we have a series of them, and we treat it as our own, and there's a team working on it, and it's a hard thing to find speakers and get people involved and the right discussions. So we have super talented team members doing that, part of their role, and getting those results in. So I would say there's a clear cut, and there's also a clear cut in terms of resources, something which is like software or just a paying fee or promotion versus building your own marketing unit of events.
So do you participate in industry events, or I mean, like, are there industry events right now for your select sector?
We still participate with them, and we also plan to participate with on the ground events. It's all a matter of how many people can you reach. So on an online event, back in the days, you could get to 50 people to your booth, 100 people to your booth. That's a number that you could get at a convention. But nowadays, with a digital online brand event, you can get to 1,000 people. 1,000 people can sign up for a single event if you would bring the right speaker, if you bring the right people and the right content for it.
So Adi, it sounds like you invest no less in online events. Why do you think that there's such a disparity in what's sort of like Kobi's experience with the leads that he's generating from that and yours?
Yeah, I feel it's the difference between the companies, what we are selling at the beginning. So for me, in the cybersecurity, and Michael is also agree with me because it's a cyber, we have seen some bad results in terms of that. I can tell you that in H1 in 2020, when we just started the COVID, I was so nervous, and this is why I've decided to sponsor so many virtual events that at the end of the day, I haven't seen any good results. By the way, with a differentiation, when you own your own event, like a combination between existing customer and a prospect, this is a win-win situation. Like, you will generate so many good leads. You will see the success afterwards. I can tell you for last 2 years ago, when I just joined Checkmarx, I've decided to do a customer event, 100 people have arrived to this event, and we generated $1 million in ACV. So it's a totally different story when you have your own events, when you host.
Michael, do you agree with that? Is it own events okay?
So
trade events not so much for you?
So yeah, I of course I agree with Adi, who I just found out is my neighbor from Ganei Tikva. So
I didn't know that.
I just found out, but it's pretty identical. Like she mentioned, of course, it's a very different industry, but we did figure out how to innovate even in those virtual events. Despite the fact that I still hate them and I won't participate in them, what I do is I get speaking sessions. I remember we did a CIO event where it was through a very big analyst company. And what we did was as follows. We brought 3 people to speak. We got 2 existing customers, and we got a moderator who was our investor. And our investor moderated between those 2 CIOs for the rest of the CIOs. And that's what brought us business. But holy crap, that was really difficult to do. And the second thing that I did was I started ditching virtual events and doing those one-on-one CISO meetings. So I did an event where, we paid for about 7 CISO meetings, not thousands of people, very, very few. And from those, we had 5 SQLs and 1 already opportunity. So
what do you mean one-on-one CISO meetings? I mean, like you get one CISO, and then how many people would you invite to speak to that session?
No. So it's just a one-on-one meeting. You pay for 30 minutes to meet with a qualified person. It costs the same amount as a virtual event, but it's really a Zoom meeting for 30 minutes.
Okay.
And if you give them value in those 30 minutes, then hey, you got yourself a sales meeting. So those are the types of virtual events that I'm pivoting to. But all the other events that they do, they keep the prices expensive because they have salaries to pay. But these events absolutely suck, and we just go there for the sake of having our logo there. But that's pretty much it.
Got it. Now, the other thing that I wanted to clarify was the Influ 2 that Kobi praises, and Michael, you really don't. What's going on there? What are you doing that's different? That's causing. So I mean, you saw how Kobi is going about it. Were you doing more or less the same thing and getting like shit results? I mean, what's the story there?
Not at all. So Kobi actually was the person who was innovative here, and I was not. So guilty as charged. I used the product as the way that it should be used, and Kobi figured out a way to get it to work better. Ultimately, it's a very cool tool on paper, but in results, in reality, customers or prospects felt sort of attacked and felt like their privacy was was being attacked, and like people told us to like F off. So and whatever, also the service and stuff, it just nothing was working there, and we invested a lot of time in it. We understood it's not for us, and we now do ABM on LinkedIn, and we find it very successful. So we're good.
Okay, and how about you, Adi? How are you doing the ABM? Are you using Influ 2? What are you using?
So no, I'm actually, it's an old school kind of ABM, I would say. I'm just working really closely with my directors of sales. We are mapping all over the accounts that we would like to target. By the way, we are refreshing it from time to time because we don't want to get them a little bit exhausted, and we've seen that. Don't forget that from each account, we will see like 5 or 6 people that are coming, considered to be leads, and they are trying to get in touch with us until they are being converted. And of course, I'm working with the third-party vendors that can help me to work with, to get in touch with these relevant accounts. So this is my way. And by the way, it's around content. So I'm actually offering a good content that can, they can submit, and then I'm receiving the leads just afterwards.
What we're seeing with our clients is more of a Kobi's experience, but it very much depends on how quickly the SDRs are following up and with what. So the companies that have got that fine-tuned, then they're really getting value out of Influ 2, and the companies that are not so quick and not so much on the ball with creating different content, it's very different, very different results across the board. So okay. And one thing that, I can't stand analyst relations, Michael. I just don't get it. I feel like I'm paying bribery to the various big name analyst firms that we won't mention. And I know that a lot of our clients feel the same, and it's always should we do the Gartner? Should we pay to Forrester? Should we get that white paper? I mean, when we do promote their assets, we get, good returns, but it just feels bad. So what are you doing? How are you making the most out of your analyst relations? What are you doing differently that makes you sort of like get the results out of the analyst relations?
So first and foremost, my management hates analyst relations as well. They told me over my dead body, you're not bringing Gartner in here. It's too expensive. We don't have such a big budget. Stop wasting your time. But what I did was, when I first joined the company, instead of sitting down and starting to fix everything on the marketing side, I actually started meeting with customers. I was driving out, flying out. I was meeting with our existing customers, and I asked them, guys, when it's time for you to buy a new technology, what do you do? So he said, well, if I have a friend, I'll phone the friend. If my friend doesn't know, I don't have a choice. I'll call Gartner. I hate Gartner, that tells me the customer. I hate them, but they know the market. So I pick up the phone and ask them, all right, give me the top 2 or 3 companies. Don't waste my time. Who should I speak with? And he told me, Michael, if your name isn't there, I'm never going to hear about you. And then I'm like, okay, I need to do something. And so that's how I started building my relationship with Gartner, with Frost and Sullivan, with all the guys basically. And what I do is I constantly get them on the phone. I find excuses to get them on the phone. I share with them our latest case studies, and I share with them all the new product features that we do, and I ask them for feedback. It's not like I really give a crap about their feedback. I want them to know about what we're doing. And when I'm speaking with them many times, and my competitors are not, my name starts to float to the top. You can see this influenced in their where they position us as a company. You see where when they speak about us, and when customers come in, like I see this as an organic lead coming in through HubSpot, and then the customer is like, yeah, I come in organically. Gartner told me to come here. I'm like, ooh, interesting. And when management sees those results, that's how we justify all the work that we do with the analysts.
So you didn't find, my last question for me, because then I'll hand over to other people who might have a question. But so you don't find, like when I worked with analysts, it was always like, oh, by the time this analyst has, a good time and, the 30-minute slot to do me a favor to actually give me the time of day. So like, I didn't feel it was like they were just waiting to speak to me and give me their, their good time. It was like a really hard slog to even though you paid the money, it was like a hard time to get in front of them.
So yes and no. Now, most companies and people who get in front of those analysts, they're extremely boring. They just drone on about this boring product or feature that no one gives a crap about. And analysts hate it and they dread it. When I get on with the analysts, we have an animated conversation. We have a good time. They actually look forward to these conversations. And that's actually what helps me circumvent all that.
Okay, fair enough.
I have a few questions here. The first one is from Joan to Michael. When you want to try something new and creative, how do you get agreement from the stakeholders who hesitate to invest time and money in something unproven? And I know I feel that too sometimes.
Oh, wow. Yeah, this happens all the time. And usually the first reaction is like, what the heck are you thinking? Some of those ideas actually don't go through. I had a lot of them who sometimes I had to go to HR, some really terrible ideas. But with the good ones, what I do is I really explain, what I want to do. I show like a plan of how I want to get it done. And, I tell them, listen, it's something unique. It's something new. Worst comes to worst, it's an experiment. So you're not blaming this on yourself. You're blaming it on the experiment. And if it fails, it was a failed experiment and you continue. It's not really a testament that your work sucks. So and don't be afraid. Just try to think long term how it's going to work, what it's going to be, and run it by some of your friends as well. Ask them for feedback. Don't be shy.
That's awesome. Another question we have is from Idan. How about B2B software service review sites, Capterra, IT Central Station, G2? Do you have strategies for them?
Sometimes they require money and time, and I don't know if I can afford all of these or give them all the time of day, but they are important because people do search on Google. But for the most part, our customers, they're so busy, they're not going to just start Googling things and looking for reviews on small third-party sites. They're going to hear from their analysts or from their friends. They'll go on your website, they'll see a few things. Maybe they'll see your social and see what you're up to, and that's about it. And we map out these customer journeys. We ask them where they want to be. So those things are very nice. Don't get me wrong. And we have the Gartner Pure Insights and all that other BS, and it's nice, but it's not it's not the focal point for the customers.
Kobi, Adi, do you have any different insights regarding these sites?
So I'm working with IT Central Station. Actually, last week I've been part of their panel, so I'm a fan of IT Central Station. I've been working with them on syndication program, and I've seen some great results. Because again, at the end of the day, people are coming to these sites to see how we are ranked in terms and comparing to our competitors. So I would recommend, in this case, for IT Central, and of course, Gartner Peers, although it's super expensive, but again, people are searching. So this is in regards to that.
We also work with software advice. Software advice is a service where you pay only for the contact after you get his details. So you can have a discussion, internal discussion, and reject or claim that lead and prospect, and only pay a certain amount paid for it. So if we find quality leads coming in that we manually approved, we will pay for them if they come through those sources. But we also do Coptera, and we also have paid campaigns there, but it's less effective than Google PPC in terms of straight up keywords, sending traffic and conversions. So it's somewhat of a strategy that we do support. Users do come in and big prospects do drip in through those pipelines, but it's not the most or where we found our focusing.
Awesome, thank you. So we have another question from Hadass, and she says, is outbound dead? Pointers, tips? If so, what works for you? I know we had Gong on a while back and he was a big fan of outbound, but let's have Adi start. Is outbound dead?
Yeah, so it's not that, of course not. But since I'm responsible for the inbounds and demand generation, so it's easy for me to say and what, to understand the results and KPIs and so on, but no. Outbound, we have people that are actually, the SDR team are actually trying to get in touch with relevant accounts, and they're scheduling meetings. We have some applications that help them to do that, such as SalesLoft. Of course, there are companies who has SalesView and so on. So no, of course not. This is a collaboration between the SDR team and the ISR team who are getting the inbound leads.
Thank you. Let's go with Michael next.
Oh, is outbound dead? No, it's definitely not dead. It's just you need to really know what you're doing. I think they say in Israel there are more unicorns in Israel than SDRs, right? So like finding someone who's decent, who knows what they're doing, who's comfortable on the phone. If you're able to do that, then yeah, definitely. It does require work. It does require effort, but it does work. And you got to really know what works for your audience. And yeah, it's definitely not dead, but it's difficult.
Okay.
I fairly agree, but I'm not. I don't feel I can contribute much at this point to this discussion.
I've got one final question before we sign off, and it's off topic, but hey, there's a shortage of B2B marketers. A, what are you doing about it? And B, do you see it changing in the next 12 to 18 months? Because all of our clients are recruiting. Everybody's talking about, can you introduce me to anybody? I know that the headhunters are in above their heads. What is it that you guys are doing? And do you think it's going to change? Kobi.
I think you can take any B2C acquisition or growth hacker or marketer, great marketer, and turn him into a B2B player. It just needs time, effort, and a learning curve. But that's the things that will happen it's about the person. It's about the quality he has and what he can bring to the team. And I wouldn't find it as a showstopper in terms of recruiting or finding a person to bring in. If he has the skill set, if he understands what he's doing, if he understands the goal, if he's good at what he's doing, he will also be good at B2B at some point. You just need to guide him there. So if you don't find the right people under the B2B umbrella, my recommendation is don't treat it like it's a law. Like find out how much does he know, how much does he really know or wants to learn about B2B marketing.
Although I do have an issue with the timelines, because like an average marketer stays in his job for 18 to 24 months. If you're having to invest the time in training from B2C to B2B, then you're like, when do you start to receive the value? But I definitely get your point that there are transferable skills. Yeah. But, Michael, what do you reckon?
You guys are not going to like my answer. We had also a shortage for a long time, and what I did was I just worked harder. and added more time, working extra hours. Of course, not getting paid extra for it, but we were able to achieve something, astronomical. And yeah, that pretty much was more pressure on me. But what I would recommend to do, and ultimately what I did was, I was looking for gaps, like in my specific department. Like there was one gap that I really needed to fill, something that I was good at, but it was just very time consuming for me. And I hired someone who had that specific skill that I was lacking. And as I added this person into the team, I started adding more things and seeing what this person was able to accomplish. So the core problem I was able to get off of my shoulders, and little by little I was able to either give this person more tasks and build on that. And if not, I can always hire someone else. You don't have to hire someone who's so senior, but you need people who are like stopgaps at specific departments where, your specific department has a weakness, and that's how you can get a good balance in your department without, over exhausting the resources.
Because I'm assuming that you also only have 24 hours in your day, just like everybody else. So there's a limit to how many additional responsibilities you can take on.
Exactly.
Adi, what are you doing? Do you think it's going to last?
I agree with Michael here. And if you remember, I shared with you that I'm the only person, like it's a one-woman show. They're doing actually 360, like everything from scratch. I'm working with the vendors. I'm trying to negotiate within the price, like everything that you can think of, and running the budget and everything. Like I don't have someone at the moment in the UK or in France and so on. So I'm trying to work with agencies and recruit some people there, but it's super hard because again, I don't have time to sleep. But what I've seen also in the market, of course, the interest, they're interested in recruiting people and marketeers. They are really professional, but in the same time, they are asking like seriously unreasonable skill set of the marketeer. Like they want to recruit someone who is really understanding the product. Also, they can write content. Also, they should be hands-on in PPC and SEO. And writing content and so on and forth. So it's sometimes you just it's a little bit ridiculous. Like they're asking for stars and
jack of all trades. They're asking for.
Yeah, it doesn't make
unicorns.
Sense. Exactly. And of course, if there is someone like that, go ahead. But it's super hard. Like if you want to be professional in something, it's more of like that you cannot do demand generation and also do the content writing. So it's doesn't make sense.
Totally agree with you. Okay, well, we're on
a daily basis.
Sorry?
No, I'm just kidding.
Now, we certainly hope that the skills shortage will get better. We don't see it improving much over the next 12 to 18 months, but we're doing our bit in training as many good B2B marketers as possible. Sorry, good is an understatement. They're brilliant, fantastic, amazing people. So hoping for better times on the B2B marketing front. I really want to thank you. I mean, as an online event, this has definitely been one that I've enjoyed so much. Amazing content, amazing speakers. Thank you so much for taking the time. And we'll definitely invite you back, and especially when we do a live event. So thank you very, very much. Thank you. Have a good rest of the day.
Us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.